Chiefs' mandatory minicamp concluded on Thursday, and this ends the offseason program. This is a time for the rookies and other newcomers to become familiar with the Chiefs and, frankly, for the team to turn the page on the Super Bowl loss and begin pointing toward next season. There's still some work to be done before training camp begins in late July. The most important detail is the contract extension for safety Tyrann Mathieu. That's been a conversation topic for weeks, and he's been keeping it alive with some of his social media comments. On today's SportsBeat KC for Thursday, June 17th, Mathieu met with reporters and spoke about the prospects for a deal and delivered some words fans want to hear, that he wants to finish his career as a member of the Chiefs. We'll also hear from Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on today's show, so let's get started with media interviews with the offensive and defensive heartbeats of the Chiefs, along with Coach Reid.
We'll get started, and we'll start first with Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Tyronn. I know that you've got a lot of contract questions this past offseason. I'm just curious, when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs organization, how much of a desire of yours is it to perhaps finish your career in Kansas City? I know that you plan on playing for probably another 8 to 10 years.
I mean, it's probably top of the list. It's been everything I've asked for. And for me, I feel like I can play football anywhere. But when you develop certain relationships with certain people, these people become a part of your life. And so, Coach Spags, Coach Merritt, Coach Reid, Coach Rubin, our strength coach, all these men, have been pouring into me. So I can't see me, ever kind of walking away from that relationship. I've been through a lot in my life. And so for me, I think, holding on to certain relationships, I think that kind of outweighs any monetary thing, any short feeling or emotion I may be, dealing with in the moment.
Let's go next to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Tyronn, you kind of fired back at Le'Veon Bell's criticism of Andy Reid. I was wondering, you spent almost a year in the locker room with him. Why do you think he feels that way?
Oh, I'm not sure. Obviously, I feel like he was a great teammate when he was here. Obviously, things don't go our way. It's a performance-based business, and it's a lot of things that determine our performance, right? It's not just what we do on the football field. And I'm wishing him the best. I'm hoping things get better for him. But this is probably one of the finest organizations I've ever been a part of. As far as the locker room, our coaches, they're transparent, they're honest, and I think in this business, man, that's really all you can ask for, right? It's honesty, from coaches, because they don't have to tell us the truth, but I do feel like Coach Reid and his staff, they're some of the best people and coaches, I've been around.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tyronn.
Hey.
You've always been one of the more approachable guys in the locker room. I'm wondering what you've thought of this last year. We've had to go virtual. What's it been like for you talking to us through Zoom instead?
It's been different. I feel like I'm a transparent guy, whether we're in person or virtual. But I think being in front of people, having people see you in person, I think that kind of takes you a longer way than, the virtual phase. So I'm hoping things could really get back to normal, not just for us players, but for you guys as well. And, we could have the football season we all wanted, we all pray for. So really just hoping for more normalcy going forward.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Tyronn, how you doing today?
Doing well. Yes, sir.
Good. Hey, I want to ask you about something you said a minute ago. You talked about your relationships with Andy and Spagnuolo and Barry Rubin and Coach Merritt. How do you feel like those guys have made you a better player? Do you feel like maybe you've been a better player here than you were because of them and maybe you were earlier in your career?
Well, I think I'm a better person to begin with. I think, for me, football comes, fairly easy. But I think when you have, certain men in your life that they're trying to coach the person just as much as they're coaching a player. And I think anytime you have an athlete, I think the mental part of the game is so big for an athlete, and I think if any athlete could find the right mental space, I think all of our games could really go to a new level. So, I think for me is, obviously I love football, but, I think having certain guys around me mentally, I think it clears my head to focus on just the things that are in front of me. So, kudos to my coaches for, taking the time out to coach the person just as much as the player.
Let's go next to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Tyronn, always a pleasure to see you. I hope you're well, man.
Sir, thank you. You too.
Hey, from your point of view on the back end of coverage, there's quite a few moving pieces on the defense right now along the defensive line and the linebackers. What's been your impression of this group as they come along through all these practices heading into training camp?
Well, to be honest, I think all of these practices has really worked to our benefit. We didn't necessarily have this last year. It's a couple new coverages, a couple new wrinkles that we wanted to put in last year. We just didn't have the time to get to it. So I think everybody's showing up, being available, coming to work, clear mind, just focusing on football. I think it's going to take us a long way, especially when we talk about the communication, aspect of it, which I think is a big part of playing defense, right? It's to communicate and to react to what the offense is doing. And so the more time we really get with each other, spend around each other, talking ball, talking route concepts, understanding what kind of, ability the guy next to me have and how can I help him, compensate for that. I think these 15, however many practices we've had, I think is going to pay big dividends for us. But I do think we've built some momentum, going forward. Like I mentioned with new coverages, new wrinkles, we feel fresh, we feel motivated going forward. And for us, it's all about just showing up to camp physically and mentally, ready to go. And I think if we could do that, we'll be cooking with some hot grease going forward.
Looks like we've got 4 left. We'll go right down the line, starting with Todd Lebo. Go, Todd.
Hey, Ty, you mentioned how close this group is, and you guys do a lot of talking about football and other things. What sort of have the conversations been like in the locker room about the vaccination protocols and things that the league just let out, and the team has given you guys experts and all that stuff? Has it been enlightening for you guys? Has it been, I don't know if you should name names on anything like that, but I mean, what sort of conversations have you guys had on that front? And you think the league is heading in the right direction as far as the pandemic goes?
Well, I think the league and the PA is going to do, what was really best for the league, right? What's best for the fans. I think us, we as a team, we understand that it could be an advantage for us, going forward. Especially with the protocols in camp. We just talked about, how much time we've spent practicing and communicating, and we would hate to get to camp and not have, a good portion of our guys to be able to really sit and eat dinner with and, just build that camaraderie. I think that, again, that is a big part of playing football, just building that team chemistry, building that team bond. And, every year you have a different team. It's new guys, it's new faces. And so every year you're trying to start over, building that chemistry back up. So I think we understand the importance of it. I think we believe in our training staff, our medical people. And then, like I said, most importantly, we believe in our coaches as well. So I think we truly believe those guys won't, give us any bad information. I think everything they tell us is, like I said, not just for the player, but for the person.
Go next to Tyrann Mathieu. Go ahead, Tyrann.
Tyronn, sorry to go back to the contract, and I look forward to that not being a discussion with you, my friend, and so I think all of us are rooting for that to be done and you to be a Chief for a long time, because we certainly enjoy talking to you. But just your thoughts on how it's going, right? Everybody, I think Kansas City would kind of echo the sentiment I just said there. They want to see you in Kansas City, and they want to know how it's going. Do you feel like this is progressing and it's going to get done, and do you feel confident that a new contract is coming your way?
Yeah, I do. I have tremendous faith, not just in myself, but the people that's around me. I think about my family a lot, and we're extremely blessed. We're extremely thankful for everything. And so for me, you just got to keep all those things in perspective. I don't consider myself a guy that necessarily does things for his own benefit. So. More importantly, I'm really just kind of looking forward to, continuing to be a Chief and, continuing to help the younger guys around me and, help the receivers and help anybody I can just continue to get better. And I think, to be honest, I think that's my focus. And it should be my focus. But, just being here the last couple of years, I mean, I can't see me, wearing any other uniform. I think the fans here are amazing. My teammates are amazing. I spoke about the relationships that I have with my coaches, and some of these things you can't buy other places, and I'm a guy that's had to start over quite often. I would like to stay here for sure.
Last two will go Matt McMullen and then Nate. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Tyronn, you mentioned the new faces on defense. I want to ask you about Mike Hughes, one of the new guys. Just your early impressions of Mike and how he's fit in so far.
Yeah, he's coming along. He's coming along really good. When he first got here, obviously it's a kind of complex system, especially for the defensive backs. It's a lot of reads, it's a lot of pattern readings, a lot of communication that takes place. But I thought these last couple practices that he's had, he's really shown, why he was a first-round draft pick. And, I think it's important for us to kind of continue to build him up. Even myself, how can I give him the confidence, that he needs to go forward? And so it's all about continuing to encourage him, just continuing to uplift him. Obviously, it's some kind of accountability and responsibility that has to take place. And, that comes from the leader in the room. And but I like what I'm seeing from him. You could tell he's quick. He's short twitched. He can make plays on the ball. Got tremendous athletic ability. Got great ball skills. And I think in this defense, if you could tackle and play the ball well, you could play the spag. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in camp. But I'm going to be that guy that's going to continue to encourage him and motivate him because I know we're going to need him.
We'll go last to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tyronn, thanks for doing this. Two guys I want to ask you about. Is there anything new and different you see from Patrick, especially in this OTA minicamp period before you go to training camp? And I know another guy that you've really enjoyed competing against and sort of seeing his progression is McCole Hardman. Just what is he doing now that obviously he just couldn't get to just because of where we were last year with the pandemic?
Yeah, I think to start with Patrick, just this whole spring, he hasn't been trying to do it all. He's been really taking what the defense give him. He's understanding different coverages. Even when I'm moving around back there, he's getting a good idea and a good feel for what I'm doing. And if you could figure that out, you could kind of figure out what we're doing as a defense. So you could tell his eyes are right, his mind is right. And so if we could protect him how I know we can, he's going to be the guy that we need him to be. And I think Nicole I think he's hungrier than he's ever been. I think each and every practice he's trying to find me. And I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or disrespect. It's like, I know iron sharpens iron, but it seems like every day he just, he wants to see me. So I'm grateful that I can get him better. It's been a pleasure to see him, come to work, even when he doesn't do anything right, or he makes a mistake, or maybe he drops a ball, he's not hanging his head. He's running back to the huddle. You can see it in his eyes that he's ready to go. And I think a big part of that is him understanding that we're going to need him, and so he got a big responsibility on his plate. But, once again, it's going to take for the leaders and the guys in the locker room to continue to encourage him and really uplift him, because he's still a young guy. He's still a baby in this league. And but we need him to play big, and we expect him to do that.
Tyronn, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, guys. We got Patrick stepping up. We'll kick her off with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, a couple things for you today. Just wanted to see how you felt like you came through the off-season stuff from a physical standpoint, and particularly the toe. Do you see any problems moving forward when camp starts? And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
No, I don't. I don't see any problems moving forward. Obviously, I want to continue with the rehab, continue to work on those things to strengthen it and do all that different type of stuff. But I feel like I had a good OTAs, a good mini camp. I was able to move around, scramble around, and do the things that I needed to do.
Okay. And I want to go back to something you said right after the Super Bowl. You talked about how disappointed you were and how that's going to be a loss that maybe motivates you the rest of your career. And now that you had a little time since that game, I want to revisit that. Do you still feel that way, or maybe was that the emotions talking? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, when you get beat like that and on a stage like that, you're going to feel like that at all times when it's kind of talked about. So for me, I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen again, no matter what game it is.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go, Pete.
Hey, Patrick, I know when Tyrann signed, you guys had this phone conversation where you had said just, you take care of the defense. As far as what you guys are building, and I know you got the long-term contract, just how much are you rooting for him to be in Kansas City for a rather long time?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a great leader on this team, and I mean, obviously a special football player. You want him to be here for the long run, and you can tell that Chiefs Kingdom really is behind him as the leader of that defense and the leader on this team. So I definitely want him to be here as long as he can and as long as I'm here.
Let's go next to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hi, Patrick. What's it like being on the cover of Madden again, this time with Tom? And I was wondering if you guys swapped Super Bowl stories when you were at that shoot.
Yeah, wasn't a lot of talk about the actual Super Bowl, but I mean, it's obviously an honor to be back on the cover of Madden again. I mean, it's something that you look up to as a kid, as you want to be on the cover. And for me, it's the second time to be on that thing. I didn't even know you could be on it a second time. And so to be with a guy like Tom and be able to just kind of talk to him and get advice from him whenever we're at the shooting the photos and stuff like that. It's always a good deal. He's a great dude, and he's willing to give advice. So I mean, it's cool. Just hopefully next time we can beat them, and they're not beating me when I'm going to do the shoot with them.
Let's go next to Miss Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Patrick.
How you doing?
Good. Just wondered, what do you plan to do from here until training camp to kind of keep sharp, to keep the toe healthy? Do you have kind of a plan for physicalness and a plan to get away from the game and get a break before camp?
Yeah, Brittany and Jackson have my schedule down to date. They ask me a question every single day about what dates we're doing what. And so I have a couple vacations in there. I'm going out to Tahoe for the golf tournament. But then after that, I'll be back in Texas, and I'll be training with Bobby Stewart, my trainer. And he's talked to Rick, and he's talked to Julie, and really got a good game plan of how we're going to continue the rehab, but at the same time making sure that I'm physically ready to go whenever training camp goes, and I have no limitations at all.
Looks like we got 4 more hands. We'll go right down the line, starting with Harold. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Patrick. Hope you're doing well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire mentioned how you guys are trying to get the ball around, spread the ball around a little bit more, especially out of the back. I just want to know, through these OTAs and the minicamp, how you guys try to evolve the offense and maybe implement some new stuff, because, Andy Reid always talks about pat plays and how you guys are trying to get that going forward, because this is the time to experiment with it.
Yeah, we always are implementing new stuff, adding new stuff to the offense, trying out different things here and there. And then I think you said, we have these running backs that can catch the ball so well out of the backfield, so why not utilize them? And with Clyde and Jared McKinnon, Darryl, Darwin, all these guys, they're really good at running and catching the ball and running routes in space. And so using them, as well as using tight ends and using the receivers, obviously, that are so special. So I think you'll see a wide variety of stuff that we come into the season with, and that's what you want to be with a great offense.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Patrick, I know that, normally during the offseason, the film guys will, put up a cut up of like maybe your 20 ZNs throws that you made last year and things like that for you to go through. When you're going through that film review and looking at that, what were kind of the takeaways that you saw and what are you learned from that you're applying this season?
Yeah, you every time you watch that, you learn and you realize all the different stuff that you left out there on the field and how you could have changed games with different completions. And just taking what's there or going for attacking at the right moments. And so I think the best thing about it is you learn from your mistakes, and then you try to improve those things the next year. And so we had a great offense this last year, but I think we can still get substantially better if we continue to evolve, and I continue to get better and better with my decision-making.
The last 2, Tyrann and then Todd. Go ahead, Tyrann.
And I'll have a quick follow-up, Brad. Patrick, the third receiver spot, right, with Sammy leaving. I know there's familiar faces that are guys that are there, but just your first impression of the depth and if anyone's standing out as a guy to maybe grab that role.
No, I think a lot of guys had a really good OTAs and a really good minicamp. Nicole, D-Rob, Tyreek, Garrett, Kemp, really a lot of these guys, they really went out there and competed. They did a great job, and the young guys are coming in with Callaway and Powell, and they're learning how we practice and how we really get after it. And I feel like we have a good group of guys, and guys like Pringle and all these guys are practicing super hard. They're making plays at practice every single day, and I have the ultimate trust in them that no matter who's in the game, we're going to make some plays happen.
And then I know Tyrann gave you kind of a breakdown of what he thought was going on, looking at you and what was going on that side of the ball. I'm curious, what I know you're not breaking down tape and scouting Chris Jones over at defensive end, but just kind of your impression about what it looks like and maybe how successful that'll be, or what challenges that might prevent for other offenses.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're on my team. All the different coverages and blitzes, and then just the D line and how they're able to rush. And Tyrann's at the line of scrimmage, and then he's in the deep third, and he's in the middle of the field. It's a very, very complex defense to go against, and it's going to make us better because when you have that many playmakers that can move around and have that good of a scheme, it's going to challenge us every single day, which will make us better in the long run.
Last, Todd Lebo. Go, Todd.
Hey, Patrick, I know the roster can still change a little bit because it's ever changing in the NFL, but you got a big bunch of new offensive linemen there for you. What are your thoughts from what you've seen so far and how they've kind of meshed together? And what are your, where's the limit for these guys on what they can get done in front of you?
Yeah, obviously they're super talented. You know that from the places that they've been. All of them, we have a lot of depth, a lot of guys that can just kind of fill in here and there, and we have guys that can play, which is always good. I think the biggest thing is if you didn't know and you just walked into this locker room and saw those guys, you would think they grew up together. The chemistry that they've built already is tremendous. It seems like they're all best friends. They've known each other forever. And whenever you look at great offensive lines, I feel like you have to have that type of aspect of guys that are going to put complete trust in each other, and they're going to go out there and get after it every single play.
Patrick, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
I'll start off. There's no injuries to talk about. We'll get you all that once we get up to camp, and we can roll from there. But go ahead and fire away here. Your time's yours.
Let's go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Good morning, Andy. Hey, couple things. First, I wanted to get your thoughts on how this portion of the offseason went, what you felt like you got out of OTAs and minicamp. And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, listen, I told the players this. First of all, I appreciated their attendance during this time. We have a lot of new faces, and so it gave us a great introduction to the offense, defense, and special teams. So, which I thought was huge for us. And then we'll go ahead and fine tune everything once we get up to training camp. But again, I thought it went well, Adam. I liked the attitude of the guys. They came in ready to work, and that's what they did. They finished up here with a little conditioning drill, and they did great on that. So they've got a good mindset, and as coaches, we appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. And one guy I've been meaning to ask you about is Jerick McKinnon. What did you guys like about him? How do you see him fitting in? Does he maybe give you something that your other backs don't give you?
Yeah. So, well, he's experienced. He's been doing this a while, and he does it well. He's good. These were passing camps more than running camps, but he sure has a nice feel of the pass game, and we look forward to. I look forward to giving him the whole package once we get up there, and let's see what he can do once we get playing real football.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Hi, Herbie.
Two questions here for you, Coach. The first one, to kind of follow up on what Adam asked you. You mentioned you appreciate the players showing up. What is your comfort level at this stage heading into training camp when you compare it to last year when you didn't have this portion of the offseason workout program?
Yeah, so listen, on these Zoom calls, as you know, I mean, you can install, you can do all that. You can talk about fundamentals and techniques, but you can't work on them. And that's just what's real. This gives you an opportunity to actually run the play and work on the fundamentals and techniques, and let the players, after the coaches have evaluated their last season, to sit there and help them get better with the, again, techniques and fundamentals that they might need this season. So I think it's a win-win. I think it's great to have the technology, but at the same time, I think it's important that we're still able to get them on the field. And I said this before, I think it's important that coaches handle it the right way and try to keep the players as safe as they possibly can. If that, for us, if that means giving up the run game part of it, we did that versus air and bags, but we didn't do it against each other, then that's what we do. So you've got to try to keep them as safe as you possibly can.
And Coach, finally, Travis Kelce on Tuesday expressed surprise at some of the comments that Le'Veon Bell made. Are you aware of those comments? And what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, Herbie, listen, I really enjoyed my time with him here. So I appreciated the way he handled things and did his business, and he had some productive downs for us, and I'm pulling for him in the future. I mean, that's how I roll. I mean, people say things, they say things. So I move on and wish him the best,
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good morning, Coach. Just because we won't get you now for another month and change here, I know you had said Patrick Mahomes was able to go full because it was a passing style at camp. How much is your expectation with the docs and stuff that he's going to be able to be 100% when you do some of that running stuff, quarterback scrambles out of structure when you get to camp?
Yeah, listen, I mean, we were cautious with him, and he'll do anything. And so, it's just a matter that we were smart, try to be as smart as we possibly could with it. And his communication was great. He kept it open with us, and we checked with him to make sure and see how he was doing during practices, and not just the first day, but you want to check on the third day too. So to see how he's doing. And he made it through. I think this was good for him. And then we'll just see how he feels once we get up to camp. But he sure got a lot of work done here, and he came out feeling pretty good.
Go next to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. I talked to Clyde yesterday, and he said that one area he's looking to improve this offseason is in the passing game as a receiver. How much as a coach do you appreciate it when a young player comes in with a specific thing they want to work on?
Yeah, I think that's good. We didn't have a huge expanded role for him in the pass game, just kind of getting him in the swing of the defenses that the NFL plays, and then all the run plays that we have and the routes that we did have that tie in with everybody. But we've tried to give him a little bit more this offseason, and he's handled it well. Look forward to getting him out of training camp where we can keep growing in that area.
Looks like we've got three more hands up. We'll go from the top, starting with Tyrann. Go ahead, Tyrann.
And Brad, I have a quick follow-up to this. Coach, analytics today, one of the things that they've been going through and grinding out is that, like, the number 3 receiver can be a big difference maker for you, right? Like, you get down to that third corner, that's a matchup that can be very, can be exploited to an offense's benefit. That's kind of a spot maybe in flux for you right now. Number one, do you agree with that thought that third receiver is really important, and how do you think the competition is there at that spot?
Yeah, no, I think that's important. I also think that wide receiver position is one that gets, is deficient just a bit in the stat category, where years help improvement at that position. So people say, that's a position that you spend your 4 years with, then you get right. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that's a learned. There's a whole lot that goes into the learning process and production. Bit hard to measure, but that's I believe that. So I like the guys that we have. It might be by committee, but we've got a good nucleus of wide receivers there, and I feel comfortable with those guys.
And then on the other side of the ball, Chris Jones making the switch, or at least, working on possibly making the switch to defensive end. I know it's something that he's obviously on board with. That helps, right? If the player likes that. He's been talking to us about wanting to play defensive end for a year or two. But for somebody who would say, hey, you're weakening yourself at two spots. You're taking a known commodity that's a success at D tackle and now moving him out to a question mark. Just what's your overall philosophy on making that move with a guy that's been so successful at one spot?
Yeah, sure. No, and the one thing it does, it gives us flexibility. I mentioned that Tyrann Reid was, it hasn't been talked about much, but I look at him as kind of a key cog to that, that ability to move Chris around. And so he's been a heck of a football player in this league, and he's an interior player. So it gives us some flexibility with Chris to move him in or out. And I know he likes getting out there to rush the passer. He's looked pretty good doing it here in shorts. So we'll see how it works out with pads on.
Go next to Todd Lebo. Go, Todd.
Hey, Coach, I know you generally have a message for your guys at this time of year. You're going to be away for a while. Is it any different this year? We got questions about vaccines, what they should do on that front. And I'd like to know what your thoughts were on the guidelines that the league gave as far as vaccinations and those numbers this past week, and where you guys are with it on that front.
Sure. Yeah. So Todd, we've kept the guys as educated as we can with the different protocols. Also gave them the opportunity to look into whether they wanted to be vaccinated or not, the pluses to that, what the doctors are saying, the latest science is saying. And so if they had questions, all I asked was that they get them answered. And with that, we've had a number of guys sign up. We're heading in the right direction there. We're one of the top teams with vaccinations, and we'll keep rolling with it. But I think the education part of it ends up being important for a lot of guys, just to know where this thing's at and where it's going. So, and I like the policies that they put in. I mean, there's some things that just have to be done to make it work, and I think the league's done that. So, did I answer all the questions? That was a layered. There you go. Anybody else?
Oh, we've got one more, Coach. Matt Derrick will close us out. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Hope you enjoy your time between here in training camp.
All right, man. You're the closer. Pressure's on you.
Got to do my best here, apparently.
Yeah.
And when you selected Noah Gray, Brett Veach talked about how this is a guy that he thinks can, maybe fill in for Travis when he's not on the field and be a really reliable number two guy. What did you see about him so far? And how have you felt his development has come along here in this camp?
Yeah, so he's a smart kid and he works hard. You can see that. You can see that he's a good route runner. There's more of that spot than just doing that. So we'll see once he gets pads on. But he sure is willing to do whatever we've asked. And you get a sense that he's quarterback friendly. So that always helps if you're a receiver. Quarterbacks like throwing the ball to you. That's a plus. And he's presented himself that way so far.
Coach, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
You guys have a safe break here.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Derek Donovan, Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Fickett, and Savannah Smith. Links to stories about the Chiefs can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, we got another deal for you. You can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. Sports Pass is the online version of the Star Sports section. You get all the stories that appear in the print editions of the Star, plus additional stories that appear only on the website, and they all appear first on kansascity.com. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. Here's how you get it. You go to kansascity.com/sportspass2020. That's kansascity.com/sportspass2020. Do you want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional national news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And I know it's a lot of dots and dashes. If you're having trouble hunting down any of those offers, send me an email, bkirkhoff@kcstar.com, and I will get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Friday with another episode.